Hi, friends. I am on a break from a meditation training, which was arranged by Madeline through her connections and through her connection to she has a long-standing practice in Tibetan Buddhism, and she has a good friend who's doing this training with her piano students, her piano teacher training students. And man, it's kind of incredible. Not only am I sort of observing the effect of really putting in some prolonged practice in meditation, because I have to say it's the area of my morning routine that I've been skimping on more and more. I still do it essentially every day, with very few occasional exceptions, but I haven't been putting in as much time. I've been allowing it to get clipped by the day starting and needing to, and sometimes sleeping in a little more. But all I have to do is spend an hour or so sitting to remember what this practice is all about and why it is the cornerstone of spiritual practice, of this work, inner work. And there have been so many beautiful insights that have come up that the teacher has talked about in this session, and I'm actually hesitant to talk too much about it, because I'm conscious of not wanting to intellectualize, not wanting to go into thought and expression necessarily too early in the process. I think I'll be able to talk about this, and I'm taking little notes here and there. So I will certainly be unpacking these in the days to come. But one major overall impression that's coming through loud and clear is this idea of basic goodness, which is one of the foundational kind of, I don't know if you can call it a principle, but it's one of the building blocks of the practice, is the understanding that human beings are fundamentally good. There's a basic goodness, and it's not a basic goodness versus evil. It's not we are good because we are not evil. It's like I imagine it as the nature of existence. It's good that there's a world, right? Because there could be no world. You could have the unmanifest. The unmanifest could just stay unmanifest. But existence is a good thing. And that's something that I think, it's funny, because as Bill, the instructor today, was talking about this, I was reflecting on my post, I believe from yesterday, where I was talking about this sense of avoidance, of watching how my mind avoids receiving certain input. And the notion of basic goodness, and especially if we can connect with that foundational essence of human existence, it gives us a reference point from which to perceive any level of avoidance. Because we know avoidance is always an avoidance of something that feels threatening to us, something that seems to challenge or obliterate or threaten our constructed sense of self, our ego's architecture. Our ego has a blueprint for us. This is who Robin is. And if you start knocking out walls or tugging at strings or however you want to think of starting to dismantle that, the ego goes, whoa, 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 what are you doing? And then doesn't want to receive that input. It doesn't want to witness. The ego doesn't want to witness a refutation of what it is. It's just not how the ego is, I think, in a lot of ways, kind of incapable of doing that. Our mind can do that. Our mind can receive information and integrate new perspectives and dismantle old perspectives and grow. But our mind can only do that when it's guided by from a higher place. The mind on its own won't do that. And the mind, as operated by the ego, certainly won't do that. That's the thing. The mind is kind of this is the kind of amazing thing about the mind is it will obey whoever is operating it. So if the ego operates the mind, well, then the mind will do what the ego wants it to do. Our mind will, it's like a machine. It's like who's standing at the controls running the machine. If we let our ego do that, our constructed sense of self, we're going to get the mind doing a certain thing. If we come to the mind as our full selves and as our whole consciousness, then that's what the mind does. That's what the mind expresses. It's just like using a tool. If two different carpenters walk up to a table saw, they're going to use the same tool, and the result might be drastically different in what is produced. It's the same tool. And I think, again, I'm kind of tracking this as I speak about it, but spending some prolonged time in meditation just gives me a chance to see that. It really gives me a chance to see what my mind is up to, how it's operating, and appreciate this fundamental goodness that allows me to perceive even my own tendency to avoid as part of a human life. It's something that it's kind of like the thoughts in meditation. I'm not trying to drive them away. This particular form of meditation practice encourages us to notice them, to really cherish any moment in which we become aware of having just been mesmerized by our mind is an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to understand a little better how our mind works, and that's fascinating. That's beautiful. That's human. That's part of what a human existence is. And so that underlying basic goodness, if we can recognize that a few times, and as I sit in silence, it sort of arises in me, this kind of fundamental love, fundamental joy and fundamental love. And it's like it gives us solid ground to stand on in observing the ego and seeing what's really happening there, seeing what my blueprint is, seeing what's going on for me. So we got a couple more hours left, and they may render even more insights. Maybe I'll have to do 2 posts today. But certainly at this point, there's a massive gratitude for this teaching, gratitude for the sense that I'm coming home. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.